time is running out for lawmakers to cut a deal on funding the government or risk a shutdown of government. John Harwood is at the White House right now. He has the very latest on this very partisan battle. Once again, John.
Once again, it's right, Maria. We've got a new CNBC All-America survey which confirms, as if anyone doubted, the American people do not want this spectacle playing out in Washington. When you ask a straight question, do you want Obamacare to be defunded? 44% say no, that's a plurality. 38% say yes. But then when you say, would you want Obamacare defunded at the risk of a government shutdown or debt default, then it becomes overwhelmingly lopsided. 59% says no, 19% says yes. Now, Republican leaders have been trying to head off this strategy because they know Republicans will be blamed for it, and that's exactly what Harry Reid did on the Senate floor just a few minutes ago.
Are Republicans so intent on undermining both President Obama and his signature health care law that they're willing to inflict severe damage to our economy in the process? America will know exactly who to blame. Republicans, fanatics in the House and the Senate.
So, Maria, we've got a few days in which this is going to play out in the Senate. If all of the debate gets strung out to the end, that means the Senate would be stripping out the Obamacare provision, passing an extension of government funding on Sunday, and send it to the House on Sunday or Monday. Then the House is going to face a decision as to, by John Boehner, the Speaker, as to whether he'll put it on the floor, pass a straight-up extension with only some Republicans, or if, perhaps even with most Republicans opposed. It's going to be a tough decision for the Speaker.
All right, John, thank you.
Here we go again. Maria Wright joining us now for real-time state of play.
Peter Welch is a Democrat from Vermont and is circulating a letter in support of the so-called clean bill to fund the government. Todd Rokita is Republican from New Hampshire and co-author of a bill to replace Obamacare. Gentlemen, good to have you, and thanks for joining us. Representative Welch, let me kick this off with you. What kinds of cuts would a so-called clean bill, and that's a bill that does not defund Obamacare, what does it need to make in order to pass in the House? Walk us through this.
Well, bottom line, the clean debt ceiling is that we acknowledge that America pays its bills, and we've gotten into this really destructive game where we're putting at risk the full faith and credit of the country. So bottom line, using this nuclear option of sending us into default, downgrading our credit rating, is something, frankly, that should be off the table on both sides. This question of Obamacare is separate. You know, we've got a debate. Todd and I disagree on this, but bottom line, Supreme Court has said yes. The last presidential campaign, American people said yes. It's not going to go away. The Senate won't agree to the House bill, and the president won't sign it. So it's a pipe dream that we're selling in some districts. And you know what? Bottom line, we ought to pass a budget, keep government going, and acknowledge that we pay our bills just like folks have to pay their mortgage.
Representative
so
Rokita,
what about that? Yeah.
I'm sorry, Maria, go ahead.
Go ahead, Scott.
I was going to ask Representative Rokita, I mean, do you agree that Obamacare should be defunded or the government is going to shut down? Where are you on that issue?
First of all, it's funny to hear Peter say that it's irresponsible not to pay our bills when all we're doing by following Peter's lead is racking up debt that people who do not yet exist, they have to pay for. And that is immoral. That is wrong. What we're trying to do is get spending under control. You know, if Peter would vote with us on our budgets, we wouldn't be in this situation.
But I want you to,
what Peter does.
No, sir. If you would oblige me, please, by just answering the question that I asked you.
Yeah.
I want you to answer the question respectfully that I asked you, and that's whether you agree with this issue of defunding Obamacare or the government's going to be shut down. Because it certainly seems like if you do, that you're at odds with you're at odds with the American public at large. And even the leadership of your own party.
Everyone I talk to in Indiana, which is who I answer to, does not like this law. Not because of the president, because of what this law does. It puts a bureaucrat in between themselves and their doctor, and it doesn't make things more affordable. It makes them more unaffordable. Now, and the only one talking about talking about shutting down the government is the president and Peter. We're not saying shutting down the government. We're saying defund a law that is very unpopular. And I guess Harry Reid's talking about shutting down the government. But and people in the House of Representatives don't have the ability to shut down the government.
Representative Rokita, are you going to use every opportunity? Are you going to use every opportunity to defund Obamacare? I mean, this is a different issue. You know, can you come to an agreement
No, these are all tied together because we're $17 trillion in debt with another $100 trillion on the way. And that's caused by us having more on our
plate now.
We have got
to be responsible.
And Obamacare is one of those things that are going to be so costly that we cannot even afford
both of you, Representative Rokita, if you guys are going to continue to talk over each other and talk over the questions that Maria and I would like to ask you to better inform our viewers where you stand, we're going to get nowhere, okay? So let's go one at a time, answer the question, and then we can debate it, but let's at least have a civil discussion that has some substance to it, please, for everybody's sake. Representative Welch, you were saying.
Okay, thank you, yeah.
Representative Welch.
Bottom line, there's a debate about health care, and that can go on. But is it right when there's a debate on policy to use a destructive tactic? Shutting government down, that hurts everybody. It hurts people in Todd's district. It hurts them in mine. Also, on the debt ceiling, people are figuring this out. This is not about authorizing new spending. It's paying bills for obligations already incurred. We have 1 million new veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan. We don't raise the debt ceiling. We don't pay their bills. We don't provide them the services of the VA. And, a lot of those policies that racked up this bill, they were approved by Congresses, in some cases before Todd or I got there. But you know what? An obligation incurred is an obligation that has to be paid. The bottom line here is that we ought to move away from these nuclear tactics and have a balanced approach, get rid of the sequester, find cuts where we can get them, give flexibility to our managers so they can implement them in a sensible way, and look at our tax code to see if there's ways that we can get revenues that will grow the economy.
See, the only problem with that argument, Representative Welch, is that we've been talking about the tax code for years, and still nothing has been done. So I don't know what the catalyst is this time around. And Representative Rokita, do you have a plan B for Obamacare? You can say you want to defund Obamacare, but what's your plan?
Well, we filed one just last week, and these are ideas that we've been talked about. They were filed originally the night that Nancy Pelosi said we had to pass a bill to read and to find out what was in it. We have had these ideas. We continue to focus on patient-centered, consumer-driven health care that through competition and price transparency will naturally drive down costs. Additionally, we take care of people who have pre-existing conditions through what we call high-risk pools. So we have these ideas. They were filed again last week. We'll continue to talk about them. And what we need is a partner. For example, on the debt ceiling, we filed a bill, got it past the House of Representatives, that prioritizes our debt, just like any household would have to do. Peter wouldn't vote for it because, again, it's all about putting more on our plate now of everything. And then making kids who don't yet exist, who have no voice in the matter, pay for it. And that's what's wrong. We have to change that in Washington, and we have to fight for those people that do not yet exist.
Todd, I wouldn't vote for that. Your constituents in Indiana and mine in Vermont, they pay their bills. So if it's the mortgage, they pay it. If they owe the electrician money, they pay it. They pay their bills, and that's what America does. A confident country doesn't mess around with
America does, it doesn't put...
And Rokita, we're finished. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate your time.